Good evening, it's February 23rd, and welcome to Cape Media News, your source for hyperlocal news that matters. I'm Mitch Sock. The town of Harwich has seen more than its fair share of resignations over the past year, and that trend continues. At this week's Select Board meeting, the board received yet another letter of resignation, this time from the Harwich Bikeways Committee.
I move to approve the resignation of Charlene Pilon, Bikeways Committee, effective immediately.
Second.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, I could simply vote yes and say thank you to Charlene for her time and her efforts over 2.5 years, and move on to the next part of the consent agenda. But I'd like to make it very clear that this board member, and I feel I'm speaking for the other board members, feel that our committee members are incredibly valuable to our town and this board as well. And I'm bothered by this resignation for a few reasons. And after reading the letter of resignation, a couple of times, it read, honestly, like there was an awful lot of good that had come out of 2.5 years of Charlene being on this committee. The troubling part for me was at the bottom of the letter where there's a reference to lack of support from town administration and select board. I wish we had an opportunity to have a conversation with Charlene, because after watching those meetings, she's a rock star. She's in it. She gave 100% every meeting. And like I said, there were a lot of really great things that got accomplished in her 2.5 years. And I would just urge any other committee member that before they're going to resign, unless it's for a reason like they've been on the committee for years and years and it was just time to move on, if there's any committee member that feels that they're not getting what they should be getting from this board and town administration, talk to your liaison and have a conversation, because I really would have liked to have kept Charlene on that committee.
Any chance that you could convince her to stay on?
I'm not the liaison of the Bikeways Committee.
Liaison.
Oh, Julie's the liaison. So I have not had a conversation.
This isn't a conversation about pitting blame on the liaison. Because
No.
Oh, no, I don't.
And that wasn't the point of my.
I'm just wondering if we could hold off on this a week and just have a conversation and see if she's be willing to stay. Maybe this is just a big misunderstanding.
I, for one, would certainly support that, Don. I don't.
Yeah, we don't have to take any action. I personally have not ever heard from Charlene. I deal directly with Fran, who's technically their chair. And, we worked with them to figure out the best way to get the notification, do you remember that, in the pamphlet so people understand the new law that's in place in terms of safety on the bikeways. And, Link has been very responsive, as she says in her email. So I don't really know the reasons behind it, but we can certainly hold off and have a conversation. Maybe there's some value to that.
I remove my second.
Yeah, and I'll remove my motion, and I hope this doesn't leave a bad taste in Charlene's mouth or the committee's mouth here, because I would love to know precisely and specifically where the select board and administration fell down with this one, because this is a great committee.
Well, I'll reach out to Fran.
Fantastic.
And
That
have
would be
see
great.
if we could have a conversation.
motion-
So we'll just
motion
hold
removed.
it for.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
The Cape Cod and Islands Water Protection Fund is facing a severe shortage. The fund, established in 2018 to help towns of the Cape and Islands pay for water quality projects, including the new sewer infrastructure, awards a 25% subsidy to eligible products. The Cape Cod Commission says that the amount of projects and their costs greatly exceed initial predictions. The 2023 proposals for Clean Water State Fund loans from the Department of Environmental Protection call for over $167 million, which is $100 million more than the projected cost and the greatest amount that we had seen for Cape Cod in a single year, according to the Cape Cod Commission. The fund's dedicated source of revenue is a 2.75% excise tax on short-term rentals in the 15 towns on Cape. While this will continue to be a source of income, the board's executive committee has developed a plan to seek additional revenue sources. As a short-term solution, fund managers have requested to use funds from the federal bipartisan infrastructure law to obtain an additional 9% subsidy in 2023 and 2024, which will require a vote by the Board of Trustees at the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. Their long-term strategy is to pursue bond fund authorization for about $300 million and request a dedicated allocation through an environmental bond bill over multiple years. This Women's History Month, Osterville Village Library is hosting a riveting presentation from pirate expert Jessica Shepard about the history of women pirates. Hear the exciting tales of Irish pirate Anne Bonny, the cross-dressing Mary Read, otherwise known as Mark Read, and the legendary Viking pirate Lagertha, amongst many more. This event kicks off Women's History Month on March 2nd at 11 a.m. For more information or to register for this event, contact Amy Wolf at awolf@clamsnet.org or call the library directly at 508-420-5757. Cape Cod Healthcare is reporting a blood shortage of emergency proportions. Jonathan DaCosta, the senior blood center recruiter, says he has never seen such a persistent shortage of blood reserves due to the downturn in donations we are currently experiencing. According to hospital statistics, 1 in 10 people entering a hospital is in need of a blood transfusion. Hospitals perform over 8,500 transfusions each year, and since blood can only be stored for up to 56 days, blood supply needs constant replacing. Cape Cod Healthcare urges those who are able to donate blood regularly. Most adults who are eligible can give blood every 56 days. When giving blood, healthcare professionals collect a pint-sized bag from each donor, which your body replenishes within 24 to 48 hours. Every pint of blood donated to Cape Cod Healthcare stays on Cape Cod to serve your community and save the lives of friends, neighbors, and family. If you'd like to donate blood, visit capecodhealth.org to find a location near you or talk to your healthcare provider at your next visit. Coming up after the break, a new grocery option in Dennis. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Mitch Sock. Tired of the same old grocery store chains on Cape? Well, Dennis residents now have a new option. The Glass Jar, a refillable market, opened its doors last week, and Cape Media News stopped by to learn more about this new business.
I was just ready for a change in my life and working for myself. So the way it all kind of came together, we've been planning this for about 2 years. So this spot here, this specific location, is really, really close to our home. And I wanted something where I wasn't commuting a lot. I can actually walk here if I want to, which is really nice. 5 years ago, I don't think I was ready for this. But I think now it's a real comfortable time in my life. And I have a great partner that helped me put all this together. So it just seemed like the perfect spot, perfect time. I wouldn't say products are different because everything I carry you can find at places like the local grocery store or some of our more boutique grocery stores like Ring Brothers, DPM, those types of places. They all sell the same types of products I carry. It's more the fact that you're able to buy smaller quantities if you want, or a larger quantity. So the price per pound is always the same. And a lot of my customers are single, so they get real excited that they can come in and buy a handful of high quality, macadamia nuts or stuff like that. So our dried fruit and our nuts come from a small company in Auburn, Mass. And I feel like those are something people are really gonna enjoy. And then we have Beanstalk Coffee as well. So we have some local stuff. We have a bunch of herbs and spices from Chicopee, Mass. And our teas, we have loose leaf organic tea that come from New York. So lots of small businesses, collaborating to put all these products together and also still able to offer very, very good pricing. So I've always been someone who really appreciates a good price on food, and which is hard to find on the Cape, right? We're in an area that doesn't really offer that kind of option. And also reducing plastic is something that's really important to us, and reducing waste. We like to reuse things as much as possible. And this is really an old-fashioned way of shopping. So all those three things combined kind of led us into this. It's a really big program in Europe, and on the West Coast, it's growing as well. So bringing it to the East Coast is something pretty exciting for us. I've never done food in a bulk scenario, but I worked at a like a high-end candy store for about 12 years, so I learned a lot about wholesale foods, how to manage food, how to put product together and deal with weighing product, because everything we sold there was done by weight, which is very much what we do here. And then after that, I worked in veterinary medicine for about 14 years and was involved heavily in the inventory and the business management. So all of my inventory management training combined with the chocolatier training helped me prepare for this. It's just such a great little area. It's real convenient. We're right off of, it used to be exit 9B, can't remember what it is now, but we're at the corner of 6A and 134. We have 3 restaurants right here. And it's just a really charming little community. We've got some beautiful beaches and some really nice people. So it's a great spot to come visit.
The Barnstable Fire District and the Barnstable Fire Department have announced that the fire station building needs committee created last fall recommended the district replace the current fire station at 3249 Main Street in West Barnstable. The station, constructed in 1935, is non-compliant with certain regulations, including firefighter safety, ADA accessibility, and additional staffing spaces. The committee performed an internal feasibility study to assess different locations for a new station, concluding that the best course of action was to demolish the Barnstable Water Department office building at 1841 Feeney's Lane and construct a new firehouse on the property. Once the new firehouse is complete, the Water Department offices will move into the current Fire Department building at 3249 Main Street. The first step to this proposed project will be to obtain approval for funding for architectural and engineering design for the new station at this year's annual Barnstable District meeting in April. The Barnstable County Sheriff's Office is warning the community of another phone scam. Callers are falsely claiming to be the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office, calling to discuss an urgent legal matter and asking for personal information. The Sheriff's Department says it is common practice by scammers to pose as law enforcement agencies to intimidate people into disclosing valuable personal information. If you think you've been targeted by this scam or one like it, call the Sheriff's Office at 508-563-4300. And remember, never give out personal or financial information over the phone. Happy Black History Month. Join Amplify POC, MLK Action Team Cape Cod, and Cape Cinema for a night of truth-telling and community building. Cape Cinema is showing The Hate U Give, based on the best-selling novel, telling the story of a young black girl navigating a mostly white school when she witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood friend by a police officer. A panel from the Y Achievers program will join for a discussion prior to the showing. And this event is at Cape Cinema in Dennis on Tuesday, February 27th at 6:15. Tickets are $15, and all proceeds will benefit Amplify POC, a local nonprofit organization whose mission is to support businesses owned by people of color on Cape Cod. For more information, visit amplifypoccapecod.com. Coming up after the break, sports and more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Mitch Sock. The winter sports season is coming to a close, and Ryan Downs has more.
Thanks, Mitch. To qualify for the MIAA playoff tournament, a team must be ranked within the top 32 in its division or have a record of 500 or above. With school vacations this week and regular season play coming to a close for most leagues, it's the perfect opportunity to look at what teams' seasons are over, what teams are moving on in the postseason, and what teams are on the verge. Kicking things off with the boys basketball, the Barnstable boys have secured a playoff spot in the Division I tournament. Although they ranked 45th, their record guarantees them at least one more game. The DY boys finished their season ranked 34th in Division III with a record of 9-11. Their season likely comes to an end as they fall one game short of a 500 record. Monomoy qualifies for the Division IV tournament as a 16th seed with a record of 14-6. And Nauset fails to qualify for postseason play with a record of 8-12. Moving to girls basketball, Barnstable failed to make the postseason as they fell out of contention, losing their last 4 games of the season and finishing with a record of 8-12. DY currently holds the number 22 spot in Division III and finished the season with a 16-5 record. And Monomoy is teetering on the edge very similarly to the DY boys, as they rank 33rd with a 9-11 record just one spot and/or one game away from clinching another game. In boys hockey, another narrow miss for a Cape team as Barnstable ranks 33rd with a 6-12-2 record. DY followed Barnstable in hanging up the skates as they finished their 4-16-1 season. And Monomoy reigns supreme in the Heartbreak Club. Just like their girls basketball counterpart, they finished ranked 33rd with a 3-13-2 record, missing the playoffs by one position rank. And speaking of one position, that's where Nauset lies, as the number one ranked team in Division 4 with an 18-1-1 record. Last but not least, we have girls hockey. Barnstable qualifies for postseason play as the 29th ranked team in Division 1 with a record of 6-13-1. And big surprise qualifier DY holds on for the 30th spot in Division 4 with a record of 4-12-1. The Nauset Monomoy team is dominant as their boys team, and they boast a 17-2 record and rank 4th in Division 2. While the majority of Cape teams have concluded their season, there are still other towns playing makeup games. So rankings might change one last time and move teams in the high 20s, like Barnstable and DY girls hockey teams, out of contention, and move those low 30 teams like Barnstable boys hockey, DY boys basketball, and Monomoy girls basketball and boys hockey teams into the postseason. This is also a reminder to any players or parents watching. You must be registered for spring sports by March 15th. Barnstable, DY, and Nauset registration forms can be found on the school's Arbiter page. That's it for this week's sports update. Back to you, Mitch.
At Barnstable's Town Council meeting last week, the council held a public hearing for a supplemental appropriation order in the amount of $45,000 for legal fees for outside counsel in respect to Park City Wind LLC's proposed project. Take a look.
Renewable energy is the most effective way in which we as a society can phase out harmful fossil fuels, which are polluting our environment, our air, and our climate. Many of you today won't live to see the true extent of the horrors that we brought upon ourselves, but I and my peers will. This is why I see it very important to address these issues with regard to future generations. Every action we take now in the present will have a consequent effect on the future that I will live through.
Europe has more than 5,400 offshore wind turbines, helping these nations reduce their dependence on polluting, climate-changing, fossil fuel-generated electricity. America has 7, maybe 8 now, offshore turbines. Why are we so late in our electrification of our energy systems?
I hear a lot about the concern for whales when talking with others about this. NOAA Fishery, a government site, says, quote, "At this point, there is no scientific evidence that noise resulting from offshore wind site characterization surveys could potentially cause mortality of whales," unquote. Change is coming whether we like it or not, and renewable clean energy is a step in the right direction. In the 21st century, we should be way past this, and if we want to make a difference, we can't fight over every clean solution that comes in front of us.
First, I take somewhat offense to references and comments by people saying the older generation doesn't care about climate change and our environment. My wife and I have adult children and numerous grandchildren, and I can assure you we care very much. Irrespective of your position on offshore wind, pro, con, or somewhere in between, given what the town and citizens have learned about the engineering and construction issues that arose during the construction of Vineyard Wind, concerns that citizens have regarding the route selection for the projects, and significant concerns that people have about groundwater and aquifer issues, I ask you to support Resolution 2024-95 this evening to designate funds to allow the town to solicit expert legal advice about how to deal with Park City Wind and its developer Avangrid before making any further decisions regarding this project. Thank you very much.
As you know, as we all know, the town has a host community agreement with Park City Wind regarding Park City Wind's proposed offshore renewable wind project in the town. On December 15th, 2023, the State Energy Facilities Siting Board issued its final decision approving and permitting the Park City Wind project. Last November, the town engaged the law firm of Anderson and Krieger to advise the town on intervention in the EFSB proceeding, and that scope has expanded to include general advice regarding the Park City Wind project. Tonight's supplemental appropriation request would provide the funding needed to allow the town to continue to have the benefit of Anderson and Krieger's legal advice. The money requested tonight is not a litigation budget. A litigation budget would be exponentially higher. This budget is just for legal advice. My department has an outside counsel budget of just over $17,000, which we use for routine matters such as title research and opinions. When there are major legal issues facing the town, my department budget is not sufficient for those types of matters, and that's why I'm seeking this supplemental appropriation tonight. Thank you.
Councilors Bloom,
Yes.
Burdick,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Levesque,
Yes.
Ludke,
Yes.
Mendes,
Yes.
Neary,
Yes.
Penn,
Yes.
Starr,
Yes.
Tamish,
Yes.
Turkelson.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have a story you'd like to see covered, send us an email at newstip@capemedia.org. Tune in every week for more hyperlocal news that matters on Channel 26, Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media, including Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. For Cape Media News, I'm Mitch Sock.